Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Anurag Batur. And for our top stories, 1,279 confirmed cases and 10 additional deaths reported. Prime Minister's Policy Council to be established. President U.Khurelsukh now meets with the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Convention to combat desertification. And for the news, stay tuned. The Ministry of Health reported that 1,279 new COVID-19 cases were confirmed today and 10 people have died.
The Ministry of Health today on November 4th has reported that 1,279 new COVID-19 cases were detected in the past 24 hours after tests were carried out at PCR laboratories across the country. Unfortunately, 10 patients, 7 women and 3 men, all with underlying health conditions, died of COVID-19 complications. All new cases are of domestic transmission, 896 out of which were confirmed in Ulaanbaatar, and the remaining 383 were confirmed in their provinces. 14,939 COVID-19 patients are being treated at hospitals nationwide. Additionally, 40,641 patients are being treated at home. Among the 14,939 COVID-19 patients treated at hospitals nationwide, 6,903 are showing mild symptoms of illness and 304 are in critical condition. Currently in Mongolia, over 2.25 million people have received their first COVID-19 vaccine dose nationwide, and over 2.14 million have received a second dose of vaccine.
On November 2nd, the Prime Minister of Mongolia, received a number of previous Prime Ministers of Mongolia. Accepting the invitation of the Prime Minister, 9 former Prime Ministers of Mongolia attended the meeting.
Notably, former Prime Ministers and Presidents of Mongolia, Inkbayar and Elbegdorj, attended the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, Prime Minister Oyurtan provided detailed information on the social and economic situation of Mongolia during the COVID-19 pandemic, and introduced solutions on protecting health, intensifying the economy during the pandemic, and reducing restrictive measures. The former Prime Minister spoke about the current challenging situations, possible solutions, and their experiences. They also discussed current urgent issues such as the Oyu-Talka contract and local currency inflation. The former and current Prime Ministers agreed on the need to support the private sector and increase public participation in government decisions. In addition, a proposal to maintain a stable continuity of government policies and directions providing professional and methodological support for implementing Mongolia's long-term development policy and making decisions and recommendations based only upon research and analysis of the socio-economic situation were all discussed. Former Prime Minister Sottom Сайхан-Бэлэг and Амар Жаргал, former Prime Minister and President of Mongolia U.Khurelsukh, couldn't attend the meeting. In case of the President, he's been attending the COP26 conference on climate change.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
The President of Mongolia, U.Khurelsukh, delivered a statement on November 1st at the general debate of the COP26 World Leaders Summit held in Glasgow, the United Kingdom. He noted in his message, by planting a single tree, it creates favorable conditions for other plants and bushes to grow, absorbing carbon dioxide and retaining soil moisture, making a positive contribution to the preventive actions being taken against land degradation and desertification. However, by planting hundreds and thousands of trees, it is possible to return an area to its former state, whereas by planting millions or even billions of trees, it is possible to restore the ecology of an entire region. In his message, the President highlighted the importance of planting and growing trees in large numbers in tackling the issue for an entire region. The President of Mongolia, U.Khurelsukh, met with the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, Ibrahim Thiaw, in Glasgow to exchange views on cooperation. President U.Khurelsukh said that Mongolia attaches great importance to combating climate change and desertification and noted that planting trees is one of the most inclusive ways to address these ongoing challenges. He said that by 2030, he will have launched an initiative to plant 1 billion trees and decide to spend at least 1% of GDP annually on combating desertification and climate change. During the meeting, President Khurelsukh stressed the importance of the support of the UN Convention to combat desertification and its mechanisms in combating climate change, desertification, and land degradation. The UN Under-Secretary General and Executive Secretary expressed their readiness to cooperate. During the meeting, the parties exchanged views on the possibility of organizing an international conference and event on combating desertification in Ulaanbaatar. Foreign Minister Batsitsik met with Anne-Marie Trevelyan, Secretary of State for International Trade, on November 2nd, during her participation in the World Leaders Summit on Climate Change in Glasgow. During the meeting, the two sides noted the successful development of traditional friendly relations and cooperation between Mongolia and the United Kingdom in many sectors, and expressed further support for development of bilateral relations in trade, the economy, environment, and renewable energy. In particular, they exchanged views on contributing to global efforts to combat climate change, expanding mutually beneficial cooperation between the two countries based on developing renewable energy resources.
Here's the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.